This comic.
Hey, I'm your host, Jason Glick.
Hey, Jason, what do you have on tap for us today?
Well, not what I initially planned on doing for this podcast, but hey, life happens and we make changes accordingly. So, I am here to talk about the series Local Man by Tim Seeley and Tony Fleeks. And if you're hearing that, you're saying like, oh man, he's gonna totally shit on this series because of what he wrote about the first two volumes. Well, yeah, I can understand how you'd think that. But having read like all three volumes now, well, maybe it's not like as bad or as depressing as a read as you would think. Because basically the premise for Local Man is is all about like an imaginary image 90s image series called third gen, which is which basically like focuses on like the exploits of like a bunch of superpowered like heroes like angry, it's like angsty, roided up as you would expect, and just fighting fighting the forces of darkness. It's like save America from like the threat they face and all. And the focus of them is on one Jack Xaver, who's basically like recruited from a small town in Wisconsin, Farmington, and just because like he's meant to be like the good old boy on the team, like like your new like inexperienced like point of view character. And well, we're told that's what he's meant to be. Well, we're joined at the start of the first volume when he's like returned to his hometown of Farmington in the present day in disgrace, because turns out that he's just been kicked off third gen because he's been stupping its like its team leader's wife, like team leader being the upright Christian known as Camo Crusader. It's like, and his wife it's like Neon. It's like, well, it's like he's been like having an affair with her, like for a good long while, and he was kicked off the team as a result. And now he's gone back to Farmington to put his life back in order. And everyone in the town is all like, fuck Crossjack, because that's basically his superhero name, Crossjack, and his powers are just having supernaturally good aim, like just being able to send anything that he wants in order like over like at his target. And he's just goes back to his parents, like admits that he's made a mess of his life, and they're just kind of like, we gave you this like great thing even though we don't know how we did it, but you gone and like fucked it up, son, so great job. It's how his dad is. And his mom is like a bit more understanding though. But the first volume of the series is basically all about just like driving home about how Jack has just made a mess of his life, and how he's just trying to like put it back together, but not necessarily in ways to make him like out to be a like good person. It's just like when he it's like when he goes to the bar to just have like a decent night, like his one of his hometown nemesis, Hodag, like a guy who just like got himself into like a supervillain suit, like for shits and giggles to be his like nemesis. Well, it's like he shows up and just like starts to fight him, and then Jack uses his superpowers to just knock his ass out. But that gets the attention of third gen, because hey, it turns out that Jack is legally prohibited from acting as Crossjack or using his powers in a superhero fashion, because that's the world he lives in these days. And while Jack was sent home with a warning, like Hodag is like sent to the prison, and then holy shit, he is beaten, he is murdered in his cell for unknown reasons, over the night. So who killed Hodag? We don't know who killed Hodag, but Jack is going to try and find out, and that's kind of what drives the first volume of Local Man, as he just also tries to reconnect with his parents, his first love back in the day, Inga, who is now married to the married with children to to the local, like to the to the town sheriff, Brian, also with kids. And while Jack actually does find out that there is some crazy stuff going down in in Farmington. Well, it not only has ties to both ties to both like what he like his old super team like third gen and its leader Camo Crusader, but also well it turns out that someone in like in Farmington is also like is also trying to like set things up in order to deliver a superpowered human superpowered heroes superpowered laborers I mean to to some specific investors. It's it's an interesting story. It's like, and I like how the series tries to like find like a hidden depth to like 90s image stuff, which is to be honest like kind of ridiculous, and was just like more just like just amped up stuff of like what Marvel and DC were doing at the time, but it hasn't aged well at all. It's like in fact like a lot of the image stuff like of these days. It's like it's just like was just more notable for it's like like over the top like art than anything else. And Local Man really does kind of feed into that stuff because while the main stories in like the present day stuff in the first one, Local Man like has a grounded, realistic bent to it from artist and co-writer Tony Fleeks. Um, co-writer Tim Seeley really camps it up in the backup stories, which like ain't to present themselves as like lost '90s image stories. They're like, ridiculous, but like you're meant to understand that like hey, image like '90s image stuff was generally really silly, and it wasn't until Alan Moore and Warren Ellis got involved in like in this stuff that you could actually say that this stuff was actually like interesting or even entertaining on a writing scale. But that's my opinion, really. The first volume, Local Man, does like channel this stuff in a reasonably entertaining way. But my main issue with it was that it just like just makes Jack's like lot in life feel just like really depressing. Like he's just like a screw up, and like you're not supposed to like what he was doing at all. Like the townspeople's refrain is more like, "Hey, fuck Crossjack," and it's like it. And yeah, it really gets across that vibe as well. But I was just kind of like left feeling like really kind of bummed out after that for reading that first volume, even though this first one did get a lot of acclaim, including like an Eisner Award nomination as Best New Series, which I wouldn't go that far as saying it was like it was that good, but it's like it was interesting, but maybe just like kind of lean to into a bit too hard, making you think that our hero was a screw up more than anything else. But it does continue that vibe into the second volume, the Dry Season, which starts off with a crossover issue where it's like where Jack teams up with a past version of himself along with other image characters as well, including Fire Breather, Street Angel, a Todd McFarlane creation named Borf. It's like and one of the characters from Dynamo 6 and another like four-armed guy like from some cyber team, I think. But and they it's like and they have to go through this it's like this like time this big crossover thing where they have to like they're everyone's like like fighting like fighting characters from their from alternate dimensions, and then in order to like but in order for like Jack to like send his characters back, they've got to like find this like person who is like regenerating from like whenever they like regenerating like from whatever talent they incarnate to, which for some reason is Joan Peterson from Tom King and Elsa Charretier's Love Everlasting series, which is weird, but sure, fine, man, that's cool and all. But this whole issue is just basically a way for like like present day Jack to commiserate with past Jack about just how he was just like didn't care about anything but himself. How you never even got your mom flowers for Mother's Day, like that kind of stuff. It's ridiculous, and it just like it's more to spotlight Jack's like self-loathing than anything else. They do try to end things on a more positive note, but it's just all about just saying, hey, It's like, Jack, you're just kind of a dick more than anything else. So there you go. But the second arc, like, is a bit more interesting as it doesn't as it begins with Jack, trying to like trying to be a better townsperson for Farmington, like saving them from someone like who uh, who's upset about the death of Camel Crusader, who, spoilers, Jack may have killed in the first volume. So, but after, Jack saves them from this crazy person, well, Sheriff Brian basically tells Jack that I need you to help solve this murder for me, because turns out that the one of the participants in my wife's um it's like a special special people for Farmington, like, like future crusaders. It's like is was found drowned, like in a it's like in the backwoods of the town. It's like in a way where there's no water there. So I need you, who is like, not affiliated with the police, to just find out what's going on here. So so Jack, agrees to do that, and along the way he meets up with a bunch of like hippies in their commune, gets dosed by in a potentially lethal dose of psilocybin, and comes to like a realization about his nature of his powers, and says that they're not just like super powered like aiming stuff that allows him to hit whatever he needs. But maybe they're actually powers that allows him to like direct himself to wherever he needs to go. Like, and that's kind of interesting. I like how that goes, and it plays into like how he develops himself in the final volume. But here it's like it's him just getting further like into the weeds. It's like and also just like developing Inga, his ex girlfriend, who was married to Sheriff Brian, as maybe the actual villain of this series, because it turns out that she like as Jack left Farmington to become a superhero, well, she was stuck here in Farmington, and she wanted to try and figure out how to make things better. And well, she may have like encountered Camel Crusader as he was utilizing the talents of the team, fourth generation, in order to not just to like fight crime, but also just talents to be sold to like to the highest bidder. And Inga was just was there to like like to get in on that. And well, the problem is like she may not have like secured them as well as she would have thought. So one of them may have escaped and is like out for revenge, and is trying to figure out just what has gone on. It's like what has gone on with her, and like how this escaped super, they can get revenge, and not just ruin things for Inga, but maybe the entire town as well. But fortunately, Crossjack is on hand to maybe save things, but maybe not in a way that is immediately obvious to everyone, especially when it's revealed he um that he killed the like the beloved religious leader of third gen Camel Crusader. Whoops. So this is so volume two, it's like I wouldn't say it's necessarily an improvement over volume one. I mean, it kind of like continues the whole like, oh, this is like Jack's life like sucks. He's just like like more adept at like screwing up everything than making things better. But he's trying to be a bit better person, but he just can't quite pull it off here. For obvious reasons, because he's just not not that kind of like self-aware or intelligent kind of guy. Um, I left volume two just feeling that hey, it's like it wasn't bad, but if they're going to like like do a keep developing going on with this series, then hey, this is then hey, they were either going to need to like wrap it up in this third volume, or just deliver like a third volume that was like so good that made me go, oh yeah, now I see where you're going. This is this is like the future of Local Man. I want to be there when it happens. Well, turns out that volume 3 of Local Man is the final volume, because when I read this, it's like it collected the one shot Bad Girls issues 10 through 13, and then issue 25. And if you think that sounds really weird, Jason, it's like, why are they doing it that way? Well, Local Man has always done like these one shots, like the story about like Jack encountering these like these other Image characters was handled in the issue Gold, and as a one shot between like its first and second arcs. And Bad Girls is also a one shot that nods to the whole Bad Girls trend of the '90s, but it's more of a meditation on just the relationship and shared characteristics between Inga, who's now out on the run after the events of Volume 2, and Neon, who was both the Camo Crusader's wife, but also Jack Xavier's boyfriend. And it seems like it's going to be like leading to a reckoning between these two. But Neon is a bit more understanding than you would think, and acknowledges that hey, like a woman needs contradictions in her life. And I like how they like spell out like like the shared contradictions that these characters show, and how and essentially she comes out saying like, hey, if you step out of line from where you are now, it's like, I'm just gonna tell Jack where to find you. So that kind of like leads into the final volume, which basically has Jack having been outed as the killer of Camo Crusader for reasons that are pretty well justified, but not necessarily like articulated in the mainstream media. But Jack is basically like hanging out with Neon, and just like saying like hey, I can't be anywhere else because everyone else hates me. But then he finds out that, well, it turns out that his hometown has been co-opted by a like a generic like image bad guy group known as the Faceless Horde, and its leader wants to use his mom in order to like force something called the Shattering, which will hopefully lead all of its cult members back to the like specific parallel universe where they get everything they want. So Jack realizes it's time to go back and face up to everything that he's left undone in Farmington. And to be honest, like I honestly think this final volume works pretty well. I mean, like we get a reconciliation between Jack and the driver guy, who basically is always like fuck Crossjack from the beginning, but then he understands that like what Jack is going through, and then like, when he says like hey, fuck Crossjack, but no, not really, man. I know we're cool, but I don't want everyone in the town to be to understand like I'm friends with like the guy who screwed it over. Like that's cute. And also the hero who was like the teenage girl who was like given the powers of the Slick 2.0, like she understands like what Jack is going through as well. It's like, and they wind up working together pretty well too. And Jack eventually like finds out what's happened to Inga, and he realizes that even though she's borderline super villain here, it's like 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 the town needs to be saved from what what the leader of the Faceless Horde is trying to do here. And I think like the biggest problem with Volume 3 is that it relies on some really deep Image lore that if you weren't aware of it beforehand, then you might be kind of lost by this. Like, do you know that like Dan Quayle was possessed by one of the Daemonites in it's like in Wildcats? It's like, yeah, that's something you're gonna need to know here, because it turns out, hey, this is the real reason Dan Quayle died. Believe it. And also, what happened to Shaft's girlfriend from Youngblood? It's like, and why is she apparently now leading the Face of Swords. That's something I had to look up in order to find out what was going on there. But if you weren't aware of that, then I guess yeah, it's like you're just gonna have to like assume you know what's going on because like the way it was being talked about, I kind of assumed that she was like like friends with one of the like significant other of one of the Wildcats. 'Cause, like after they left Image after like DC bought Wildstorm. So, but that's not how it is, and you just have to like assume that hey, this is like what happens here. But I guess it's like Sealy and Fleeks try to like tie this stuff to like deep Image lore, which clearly like they're very invested in, but everyone else like who isn't like in this and that, then you might be have a little difficulty parsing out what's going on here. But in the end, it's like I think it kind of works out pretty well, especially in the final issue, number 25, which is also a bit of Image lore because there was this like 1 month where like all Image titles published the 25th issue of their like other series ahead of like wherever they were in their current run, and only a handful of them actually like lasted long enough to get to that to make that 25th issue like incorporate into the actual continuity. In the case of Local Man, however, Seeley and Fleeks make this issue work as a kind of like final issue epilogue to the story of Jack Xavier, as like it's basically 1 year later, and like he's basically had to and it shows you like what he's been doing like in that year after he managed to like take care of everything like in Farmington, and like what he's doing now. It's like, and also the fact that hey, he's been recruited back into third gen, and it turns out, is that what he wants, especially after like third gen is like called in to put down their successors fourth gen after they're like fighting for what they think the people want. So it's like it's less about just like making proper story sense, I think, than just hey, like what does Jack Xavier want to do with his life, and what does he and how does he use his powers in order to like forge a proper path forward. So if you can like look past like the obvious logical fallacies of the final issue, particularly like how Jack Xavier avoids like political reprisal for like breaking into a prison and busting out a bunch of like unjustly imprisoned characters. You know, how does it does it work? Yeah, I think it does. It's like I think that it's like for all its like like flaws and inconsistencies, like this is like a fun and interesting like deconstruction of Image, like of Image 90s superhero characters. It's like, and it's like and I think that like presenting Jack as like a like as kind of like a holy fool, or like idiot who doesn't like kind of realize what he wants, but eventually like you realizes like this is like I do understand what I want, and this is what I'm going to do for myself going forward. That kind of works. It's like, and like it, and I think it like has it displays some genuine affection for these like for Image, like like in terms of like making a like it's like like a interesting story that just that also like addresses all the artifice like from 90s Image stuff. Like Fleeks and Seeley really kind of like appreciate or have an affection for this like 90s Image in a way that I generally don't, and I think that they ultimately told like a decent story here. Maybe it's like it's not as coherent, or it's like or as uplifting, or like it's like or as adventurous as I would have liked, but I think that I will probably keep the 3 volumes of Local Man on my shelf longer than any actual Image stuff. Actually, there's no actual 90s Image stuff on my shelf, so there you go. Um, that's what I think. But so not bad overall. But you know, if you have any 90s image nostalgia, then maybe maybe give Local Man a shot. It's like you might hit a lot different now. It's like now in the 30 years past like Image's heyday than anything else.
All right then. Thanks for that. So do you know what you're going to be talking about next time?
Well, like I think we're going to talk about like some more nostalgia, John. Actually, yeah,
Awesome. I
yeah,
like
more nostalgia. It's like about those robots in disguise and the second volume of their new Image series.
right. Cool. Well, we're looking forward to that. And we'll catch you next time on Comic Picks by the Glick.
Later's everyone.